So here's what I currently have of my reflection, the reflection part of my third cultural essay. Here's the meal I got at dinner time. Here are my responses so far to the comprehension questions. Most of my time is spent on the comprehension questions. Although I'm pretty sure for the previous cultural essays, there was a point in which I put the name of the documentary somewhere. And the one I've been studying is entitled Senorita Extra Vita, made in the year 2001. And it's about violence against women within the Mexican city of Juarez, I believe. I'm not entirely sure on how to pronounce it. It sheds light on all the victims of violent crime within the past few decades of that city's history, from I believe the 1980s to about 2001. It depicts some state efforts to appease the outrage at these murders without actually doing something about them, because I'm pretty sure the documentary makes it pretty clear that the Mexican government does have the capacity to resolve these murders, but due to societal problems such as corruption and a pervasive rape culture, nothing truly meaningful is being done, at least by what's depicted in the documentary. I mentioned the drug cartels because that is a significant source of violence within the country. But I was thinking that it would be most beneficial if I were to focus on how the Mexican government didn't seem to value the life of a woman very much within the country. How I'm going to talk about what the documentary depicts as efforts to combat the issue. And how about that didn't really make any meaningful progress towards resolving the issue. That's where I think I want to go with it. With what I think is the best way to go. I'm kind of still in the brainstorming part of writing the 500-word minimum essay, which should be doable by midnight or 11:59 p.m. when everything's due. If I continue to do what I've been doing, which is to work consistently, in between working on this paper, I've had to attend my classes, which were both online today, since Intermediate Spanish 1 has been switched to being an online class rather than an in-person class. And we were online through Collaborate Ultra. And while this change makes it less likely that I'll be late to class, since now I just have to load up a Collaborate Ultra via loading up Blackboard on the internet. I'm not sure if it's much of an improvement due to concerns that this will mean no written notes, along with other harmful effects to remembering the material. Today's criminal law class was mostly about going over the previous class's discussion questions. I in particular discussed the last of the discussion questions, number 5. I was supposed to have a partner that went first, but they ended up being a no-show. As seems to be significantly common for me based on what I've observed. I remember that the Zeta Chi fraternity was accused of, I said, solicitation. And while I was right, one of the charges was solicitation to prostitution. But I then kind of corrected to remembering they were also charged with sale of alcohol to a minor and hazing. And what the court argued, what I said, was that there were higher ups within the fraternity that could have used their authority to either prevent or stop what ultimately happened. And by not doing that, they're as guilty for the crimes as those who committed them themselves because they failed in their duties as higher ups within the organization, the fraternity. When you're a higher up, part of your responsibilities include supervision. That's sort of how the fraternity itself failed. The first online intermediate Spanish 1 class consisted of doing some exercises from a textbook. If I recall, I had roughly 2 Rockstar Punched energy drinks during the early hours of today, the early morning, late night hours. I recall staying up to about 4:30 in the morning, waking up at the alarm I set for myself of 8 in order to take a short sleep. But then I ended up sort of falling back asleep for about roughly half an hour or so. And then how after my Spanish class I went and got lunch, which if I'm remembering correctly, consisted of it's not exactly easy to remember. I ended up falling asleep again in the afternoon. On the bare mattress. I accidentally dropped a bit of milk on this touchpad. And I went to wipe it off. I fueled myself during the early morning hours for consuming some of the snacks I have. Excuse me. Within my dorm room. I remember having this granola bar, and I spent some time doing some rearranging so I could complete the task of having 3 armories at level 5 or higher. And I currently have a task to gain 3 elixir relics. Either way, I can focus on this game as soon as I finish my business with the 3rd cultural essay. Here's where I'm currently am within the research upgrades. I installed this this lonely scarecrow in an effort to keep my culture up. Though the 170% requires 4,300 as of right now. This design that I've made is incredibly compact. So much so, I think it's really compact. I think 1, 2, 3 empty tiles, and then maybe 1 or 2 more. Took quite some time of moving stuff around to ultimately make it more compact like this. Although I'm probably going to need to get a city expansion pretty soon. Pretty close to building the last of the 2 ancient wonders I presently have. Speaking of which, I still have that GameHag account. Although obviously I can't. In 13 days you will become a frog. What happened? A change to the website? Anyway. I'm gonna try and do some research on Violence Against Women It's in the city of Juarez. Like the prompt for the reflection essay told me to. And then I'll see what I can do by roughly 11:59 p.m. I'll have to turn in the paper to avoid a late penalty. Also, I'm not going to go on VHL Central today, not only because I don't have anything due until the 16th, but also because La Professora said that today one student had a quiz due on the 12th today, because I guess I'm assuming this new VHL Central assignment that's supposed to be exclusively for her, but was accidentally made available to all 8 or 9 of us students for the Intermediate Spanish 1 class. I'm assuming that's a makeup quiz. Oh yeah, and I'm now remembering. I got jasmine rice and some 2 crispy spring rolls. For lunch. Got a bunch of jasmine rice with some Kung Pao chicken and more yogurts.